And now, Lifestyles Unlimited presents the Real Estate Investor Radio Show. Over the next hour, we unfold your map to financial freedom. You'll learn how to retire through investing in single-family and multifamily real estate. You'll learn how to create cash flow and build wealth so you can have the time and money to live the lifestyle you want.
Welcome to the show. My name is Al Gordon, and as always, we're working on your financial freedom. On today's show, I have Robert on the show with me. Now, Robert was on the show with me in March of 2022, and a lot has happened in that time frame. But let me tell you a little bit about Robert and why I have Robert on the show. First of all, I want you to know he is a professional appraiser. That means his line of work, what he does for a living, is he goes out and he determines valuations on properties. He does it in the single-family space. He does it in the multifamily space. He knows a lot about property, but here was the problem. Robert didn't know about real estate investing. And in 2016, he came to Lifestyles Unlimited looking for some information on how to do this. But he had a problem in 2016. He didn't have any money to invest. So he went onto the sidelines. But he stayed on the sidelines and he stayed focused because around 2017, 2018, sometime in that time frame, he got serious. He got a hold of some money. And he and I actually had a conversation back in the day. And he said, look, Al, I've got about $60,000. What should I do? Should I do single family or should I do multifamily? You know what my answer was? Well, Robert, you could go either way. I mean, you have enough money. You could do the multifamily route. You definitely have enough money to do the single family route. You have to make up your mind. And you know what Robert did? He made up his mind. He decided to go into the single-family investment lane, and he has crushed it. He has done a phenomenal job. He has managed to retire himself. You heard me correctly. He is real estate retired. But here's the thing about Robert. He might be retired, but he's not dead. He's not dead. He is actively investing right now. He enjoys working because working gives him a purpose. It gives him something to do. Otherwise, he would just be bored. And ironically, he's on a tear right now. He is up to 14 single-family properties. He's getting ready to divest some of the properties in the portfolio. And you know what he's going to do with the money? He's not going to buy boats and jet skis. He's going to go out and buy even more real estate. This is amazing. So what we're going to do is we're going to catch up with Robert. We're going to get back into his story. And more importantly, we're going to get into his mind because I want you to get the information that he has developed because it's going to help you in your real estate investing journey. So with no further ado, let me bring Robert onto the show. Robert, welcome back. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day. It's going to be hotter than heck, but it's a great day.
Well, it is summer in the beautiful state of Texas, so I guess we have to deal with that, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So in 2016, when you came to Lifestyles Unlimited the first time, and we kind of just told you need to have some money to invest, did that feel like a gut punch to you?
Yeah, it was. I came in and I went to the 2-day and. I looked at, which was the adage is always drinking from a fire hose, and it really was. And for some parts of it, others were just, I know this, I know values that I don't need to talk about, don't need to listen to that necessarily. But it was, if I had paid attention and had structured my financial life differently, I could jump in now. There were just phenomenal things happening in real estate in San Antonio and in Texas at that time. And, I was busier than heck in my day job, but I wouldn't have had to be if I had structured things a little bit differently. So, yeah, it was a humbling experience.
But it didn't crush your dreams. You got busy. No, yeah, because you were putting money aside, right?
Yeah, well, at that point in time, I had 2 kids in college, and we were paying for them out of cash flow. Not out of college account.
They were spending all your money.
They were spending. I mean, they were. Both of my kids are very frugal. They're very good about that. But it was college, even state college, ain't cheap, and that's what I was going through. They got out, and all of a sudden, there's a lot more cash available, and that's when I stepped into it. That's when now I've got some money. I can go in and I can do this thing.
So, what in your mind caused you to take the single-family route over the multifamily route?
As an appraiser, I grew up on the commercial appraisal side, and it was, hey, I'm never going to have $500,000. I've got family, I got kids, I got college. I'm never going to have $500,000 just sitting around that I can go put into a deal. Single family to me filled two conditions that I had. Number one, it was a bite-sized investment. It's a smaller pool of money that you need to do it. The second part was, as an appraiser and doing single family, as an appraiser, I want to see it. I want to touch it, feel it, smell it, and know this is the property. I want to kick those tires myself. And in multifamily, as a limited partner or passive investor, while Lifestyles offers the opportunity, go out and take a look at it when they're looking at the property, I couldn't do that. It was not my decision, and anything that had to be done. And so I wanted to be, if I'm going to be successful, I want it to be me being successful. That it's on me, and so those are the reasons I went to single family, and it's worked out really well for me.
Can you explain to the audience what debt equity is and why it is detrimental to your investing goals and strategies?
Well, one of the debt equity is the equity that exists in an investment that you have that could be put to a better use that would give you a greater return on it than what you're getting in the investment it is in. Another way to say it is, if I take my money out of this one and I put it over here, I can make more money than I'm making now. Easy one that a lot of people might think is in your checking account, you don't get any interest, but if you put it in a savings account, you get 2 or 3. Well, it's the same concept. Hey, if I put it over here, it might be a little less ability to do something with it, but I'm making more money. And so that's how that concept of debt equity works, is pull it out of where it's not making much and put it where it can make more.
When you described you were making like a 17% rate of return, and then when you factored in your equity, it dropped down to what, 7 or 8%? Was that because you were accumulating equity in the property, and the power of that money to return great returns for you is diminished?
Yeah, the first, I don't want to. We can go down a whole rabbit hole with taxation and 1031s, and we can get lost there. But the distinction is, at first you are capturing some equity because, hey, you put $20,000 in the property, you did some work, now the value's gone up over and above what you put in it. That's some captured equity that becomes debt equity after you've had it for a sufficient time where you could pull it out. And once you get to that point, you could pull it out. You should consider it debt equity. Pull it out, pull the other out, and go do it all over again. And it's a geometric progression if you do it right. The problem is too many of us get complacent and say, hey, we're making decent money. I got good cash flow. And we forget that, hey, we're making 7% on our money, but if we cycled everything through again now, you're making 60%, 80%, 100% on an annual basis on your money, and you get too wrapped up in, I'm making $200 a month or I'm making $400 a month. Great, you made $5,000 a year. If you did the whole thing again and used that money appropriately, instead of $5,000 at the end of the year, you'd have $20,000 or $30,000 off of that $5,000.
That's a great point, because most people don't understand that real estate is actually paying you multiple ways. You get the cash flow, you get the cash component, and then you get all the equity builds. And what you're talking about is you're living off the cash flow, but the equity keeps increasing, and your rate of return, because of that equity increasing, is diminishing the power of your money. So it makes sense to you to pull that money out or sell the asset, get all your money back, and then go buy 2 or 3 to replace it, right?
Correct.
And you're actually in the process of doing this right now, are you not?
Yes, actually, I've got one house under contract to sell. I've got another one that I talked to the agent yesterday and told him to list it. So, yeah, I bought 3 properties in the past about 2 months. The most recent one I closed yesterday, and when we get off the phone, I got to wire the funds for that closing. And then I've got the 2 I'm selling, and I'm just going to walk through and sell everything and cycle all that money and do it again.
Now, aren't you worried about your cash flow just disappearing if you do all of that?
No, because if you think about it, when I sell one, yes, I lost the cash flow of that. But if you go back to the example we used a minute ago, I sell one, buy 2. Well, everybody's worried, well, interest rates are a lot higher. That's fine. Fine. I may be selling something at 4 and buying at a 6.5% interest rate, but I went from 1 to 2. And so the cash flow actually goes up, as well as the opportunity to have appreciation on 2 properties and all the other components that you can make money off of these things on. So it does make sense, even at that higher rate. Obviously, you got to find the right property, the right investment. It makes sense to do it over and over again.
Well, how difficult is it for you to find these replacement properties?
The problem that I have is I don't have enough time to go through all of the opportunities that I have. While it varies from week to week, I typically see stuff that I'd be willing to invest in based on the initial numbers, 5 to 10 deals a week. And that's in the San Antonio, and I'm only looking at San Antonio. I've just started looking in the Houston market also. And there's some great opportunities out there. It's, there's only just so much time in the day.
No, I get that. I have the same problem, although my time is a little bit freer because I've chosen not to work as much as you do. But again, that's a choice, and you've made the choice to continue working. Can you explain to me why you're doing that, even though you're real estate retired?
I don't know how to not work.
That's fair.
I mean, I started working started working for pay when I was 12 years old. And then from then on, every summer I worked. And then, hit college. I worked while I was in high school, nights, weekends. I did the same thing while I was in college. I don't know how to not work. I don't know how to sit down. I go on vacation after 2 days. I'm freaking out. I don't know how to do it. So that's, and the investment, quite frankly, buying houses and all that, it's a hobby for me. I love it. It's fun. I get to analyze, I get to play with the numbers. I get to go look at the deals. I get to go talk to people. It's a lot of fun. It's my hobby.
I can tell that there's a big smile on your face right now. I can just hear it through your voice.
Yeah, it is fun for me. I really enjoy it.
So moving from the analysis side to the owner side has been an enjoyable experience for you. Is that a fair statement?
Oh yeah, no, it's been great. It's interesting. Everybody talks about, it takes so much time and it's terrible. And everything. I don't spend with all the properties I have. I probably spend 20 hours of my time in the acquisition and renovation phase of it. Then I spend on all of my properties, I'm going to guess high and say 4 or 5 hours a month.
A month?
A month. It's from the management side. There's nothing to do. I mean, something breaks, they send me a text. I'll call them or text them back. Okay, want to make sure I understand this. I'll call the plumber. I'll call the electrician. It's that kind of thing. And it takes no time.
So you've chosen to self-manage all these properties.
I have one that I do not manage. It's actually the very first property I bought. When I bought it, it had tenants in there that had been there at that time for 10 years. And they do not speak English very well, and I do not speak Spanish very well. And I felt it was very inappropriate for me to, if you will, make them talk to me through their middle school son because he speaks perfect English and Spanish. My mind was disrespectful. I wasn't going to do that. I pay a management company because they have people on staff that speak Spanish. But aside from that, I self-manage everything.
Well, that's a pretty cool thing. I'll tell you what, Robert, I want to get back into your head, but we're going to commercial break. But when we come back, I'm going to find out what your price points are at. I'm sure the audience wants to know. Stick around.
Got questions? Call Lifestyles Unlimited at 855-497-4335. The Real Estate Investor Radio Show continues next.
The rich get richer and the poor get poorer, not because that's the way it's set up, but because of the knowledge.
When put into action, knowledge is power. At Lifestyles Unlimited, we empower you to live the lifestyle of your dreams through passive real estate income. For over 30 years, our successful members have shared their knowledge through case studies, classes, and mentoring. Tap into that knowledge. Attend a free workshop online. Register now at lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com.
creating the lifestyle you've always wanted. You're hearing Lifestyles Unlimited's Real Estate Investor Radio Show.
Welcome back to the second half of the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. My name is Al Gordon. I'm joined by Robert, and together we're working on your financial freedom. So, Robert, let's get into this discussion of price points, shall we? What I'm really curious to find out is, what do you look for in an ARV for a property? I guess we ought to explain what an ARV is first. So an ARV is the after repaired value of a property. In other words, what it would be worth if it was all fixed up like all the other fixed up properties in the neighborhood. Is that a correct definition, Mr. Appraiser?
Yes, sir. Yes,
okay,
sir.
good. I got one right.
There you go.
I need to notify my 8th grade English teacher that I actually did something right. Let me put the note down. Okay, we're good. All right, so let me get back into the show here. So, Robert, when you're looking for ARVs, what are you looking for in the marketplace? Is there a range? Is there a specific price point? Exactly what do you look for in the marketplace?
I'm not going to call it a hard price point because there is some variance, but I try to end up with an ARV that's under $250,000. And that I've got several reasons for that price point. One is they can't really build houses for less than that anymore, so I'm not going to have more competition. Two, the higher value you go on a house, the more the relationship between what the rent that house can achieve and its value deviate from each other. So while I can buy a house and let's say it's an ARV of $200,000 and make $300 a month on it, when I get out and try to do it on a $300,000 house, I may only make $100 a month because there's more people at that lower level. So that's the logic behind it for me. I'm not having new competition coming in. It's a better relationship between rent and value.
That makes total sense to me. So is there an equity dollar you're trying to capture when you're buying these properties?
When I go in and look at a property, I want to capture, if you're talking in gross dollars, I want to capture at least $20,000. But the other way to look at it is for every dollar I put in, I want to capture at least that much equity. So in other words, if I've doubled my money the day I close, is the way I try to do it.
Okay, so your strategy is you want a 1-for-1 match for every dollar you invest in the property. If you capture more equity, that's okay, but if it's less equity, you would steer away from that property?
Yeah, I never go in wanting less than that. Now, I will tell you, occasionally I do end up less than that because you go in on the renovation and had one recently. We open up a wall like, oh, we got a problem here. We didn't know. Fine. It took a couple extra $1,000 to fix, and so all of a sudden I'm not at 100%. I'm at 90%. Fine. These things happen, but if I go in at that much capture, even when there is a problem, I'm still good.
Now, do you ever have an instance where you go in and you capture way more equity than you thought you were going to capture?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, the best deal I ever did had, at the end of the day, it was less than $10,000. Might have been less than $5,000, but it was less than $10,000. And I walked away when I sold it with $50,000 at the closing table. So yeah, that was a home run.
So
really a grand slam.
Okay, so the audience is sitting there going, "Wait a minute! I think he just told us that he put $5,000 into a property. He sold it a little while later, and he got a tenfold return." Is that what you're telling the audience?
Yes, that is correct.
And how often does a deal like that show up? I mean, realistically, is it every day, once a blue moon, somewhere in between? That kind of relationship, I think I've had I'd have to go back and look, 3 or 4 that I've done better than 300%. I think that's a pretty good average. I mean, if you own 14 properties and about 3 or 4 of those have been like tripling effects, I think you're doing really good. I'd say those things, they tend to show up a little bit more frequently than I'm giving them credit for.
Yeah, they're out there. It's just a matter of finding the right deal. The biggest problem that I have is that when I find a property that is a good deal, I'll buy it or put it under contract, and a week or two later, a better deal shows up. And now I'm already in this one, so I can't go to that one. So it's a great problem to have, but it's still a problem. So yeah, there are deals out there. It's just a matter of keeping your eyes open, looking around, talking to the right people, having the right the right people on your side helping you. And that's a big part of it, because I don't have the time. I mean, that was one of the reasons I joined Lifestyles. I don't have the time to bird dog all the deals.
Is there a minimum threshold that you set for your cash flow?
Yeah, I'm still very much equity driven, because I don't have a need for the cash flow, because like we talked about, I don't know how to not work. And so my minimum deal is about $200. If you look at what I've got right now, the worst is, I think, like 205, and the best is 950.
Wow. I think the one thrown off 950 might have an equity problem.
Yeah, but I can't sell it yet. It was a duplex I bought for $190. The loan, I got a little creative on the loan. That's on me, not on Lifestyles. But it's got a lockout period or prepayment penalty if I pay it off early. It'll cost me about $5,000, $6,000 to pay the loan off early. But bought it for $190, and it's probably about $275, $300 on the value now.
Wow!
I got a good deal, and it's gone up a lot.
Now, did you buy that when the interest rates were still really low too?
That is my highest interest rate. I'm paying 7% on that money.
7%. You know, Robert, the interest rates are like really high right now. How can you buy property at 7%?
Well, you just find the right deal. I mean, that's going back to, they're out there. You just need to understand the numbers and have the right people looking for you, and find people you can trust. I mean, there's plenty of deals out there that are terrible because they're from the wrong people, and they're not going to steer you right. But you get the right people, you're good.
Yeah, because anything can come onto the market, but it's up to you to qualify it, correct?
Exactly.
Who do you have on your team? I mean, who are your top 1, 2, or 3 people that are your go-to people that you have to have on your team, or otherwise your team just doesn't function? Yeah,
it's a couple of good agents that will find you those properties and know what you're looking for. I mean, there's plenty of deals that they're going to come across. They know they aren't for me. They don't bother me with, or they'll send me the deal because I've called them saying I'm desperately looking for something. I've got money burning a hole in my pocket, and they'll send me a deal and say, I know this isn't for you, but here it is. And they're right. It's not for me, and they wasted their time sending it to me, but they're just trying to make sure that I understand they're still looking. So, a couple of good agents, a couple of good lenders, good contractor, and, that's what I need, a good inspector. Because the inspector really tells you what you're going to find in that property. And if you've got somebody that knows what they're doing, can go through it, knows how to look at deals for an investor. I mean, the guy I use is actually a member of Lifestyles even. And he knows what I'm looking for. He knows what matters and what doesn't matter. And if I say, I'm going to replace the air conditioner, don't bother. He knows that don't waste his time.
So what does the ultimate lifestyle look like for you? What are you building towards?
Sitting on the front porch, watching the ocean waves, and reading a book.
When do you think that's going to happen? What's your timeline look like?
I think in the next 2 to 3 years.
Now you're thinking about becoming a lead investor, right?
Yeah, actually, I'm going through all of the classes and everything else that I've got to do that right now. My biggest problem is, my day job. I have a problem telling clients, no, I don't have time for your assignment. So it's taking me longer than I want to get through all of that. But, yes, that is my plan. My plan is to finish everything I need to finish by the end of the year so I can really be stepping into that next year. You really buy into the concept of helping other people, don't you? Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons I really decided I needed to get into and start investing on my own is I sat down and looked at the number of times over my career where I'd have a client come to me and say, hey, we're going to do this deal. And I'm like, no, tweak this, tweak that. And all of a sudden you've added another couple $1 million to the value. And they're like, oh, that's great. Can you appraise it that way? And I would do it, and they do the deal, and I'd get my, $5,000-$6,000 appraisal fee and going down the road. And I finally said, I can do this. I know how to do it. I know what needs to be done. I need to do it for myself. And so that's the process I've been going through. We talked about how I went single family versus multifamily. Going single family, I wanted to learn everything I could possibly learn about that and then step up to the next level. And, I've learned what I'm good at. I've learned what I'm bad at. And what I'm bad at, I work on getting better at.
So are you selling these houses so that you can accumulate cash, so that you can get into that first multifamily deal as a lead?
Yeah, it really is a situation where I'm going to burn through everything, take about half of that money, and that'll let me go to the size of develop a deal I want for a lead, take the other half, roll it again, so I'll be able to double it again in a year or two. And then when I'm ready to do the second one, I've got even more money to go do that second one and do a bigger deal that time. And so that's my thought process on it. I can make money single family, at least the way I look at it, single family, you make the money when you buy. Multifamily, you make it on that sale or that refinance in a couple of years. So I can shift the profit, if you will, forward in single family that I can't shift it as much in multifamily.
So what size of a deal do you think you'd be looking for your first property? Is it maybe 50 units, 100 units? Where do you think you might be?
Yeah, 50 to 60 units. It's large enough you can afford to, in my mind, do it right and do professional manager, professional management company, because personally, at least for me, I think no matter how much learning, no matter how much experience I try to gather, I am not going to be able to do, I personally will not be able to do as good of a job managing the day-to-day running of that asset as a professional manager and professional management company are. And you understand, when I was growing up, my mother managed apartment complexes. So I've been around that my whole life. But I wasn't, I was around it, I saw it, that kind of thing, but I didn't live it like a professional manager does. And so that is a minimum size. You can do that on, so say 50, 60 the first one, 100, 120 or so the second one. Then you step up to 100 units and kind of go from there.
Yeah, I think you've got a great plan. I think you've got a great vision, and I think you're going to get some outstanding results, because if past performance is any indication of where you're going, the opportunities are endless for you, Robert. I want to thank you for being on today's show. I think people learned a lot from you, and you can do the same. Go to lifestylesunlimited.com, sign up for a free workshop, and let's get you going.
The information and opinions you hear on the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show are those of the hosts, guests, and callers. The Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.